We're back with part 2 of the Melbourne Punter Show this week with What About the Punters? And there's been a few interesting issues this week, boys. Well, the first one that sort of grabbed everyone's attention was the winding up of the New South Wales greyhound industry and what that happens and what happens from here and what effects it has on the rest of the industry. But there's been plenty of coverage about it. Opinions are fairly divided, and I know from you guys' point of view, if they took away the way you earn your livelihood, like, you'd be filthy on them. So there's probably plenty that are in the same boat, but I don't know whether it's finished just yet.
Well, the last time I checked, Juppie, it's Australia.
Yeah.
It's not communist Russia. And this idea of governments coming in and just decimating industries, just winding them up, goes against the grain for me. So I can understand absolutely that, if these mobs want to do the wrong thing, they don't want to reform their practices, they're going to cop it, and they should be heavily punished and, taken to task. So, well done to Four Corners and everything for exposing what they were up to and all that stuff. But I think there's a good precedent for the greyhound industry in New South Wales in the live cattle exports, and that was exposed on Four Corners as well, and Julia Gillard shut that industry down, and it was something that contributed to her losing the job as Prime Minister. And when Kevin Rudd took over, the live cattle exports were heavily reformed and then put back into play. So, I can see a way clear that the same thing will happen for the greyhounds. They'll have to fight hard. They'll have to get their act together. Number one, absolutely, they have to go over the top getting it together. Yeah. But they've got the right sort of people in New South Wales supporting them. Like Ray Hadley's probably more powerful in Sydney and New South Wales than the Premier. And if he's backing them up, they've got a good chance of getting a result in the end. But anyway, we're interested to see how it happens, how it all plays out.
And there was another thing that sort of crossed our desk lately, boys. Troy Corstens came out and said he'd like to have a scope permanently at the synthetic tracks because he's noticed that a couple of his that he thought were going well and were in the market had performed at a lower level than what he'd expected. And then when he got it back to the stables at home and scoped them, they found that there was some of the material was down in the trachea there. So he's calling for that, and I know. So, and the main reason he's calling for it is so that it can be put into the steward's report on the day, which would be a big leg up for the punters.
That's right. Well, it just says vet says they're coughing or something like that, which I've seen a couple of his horses. But there's I don't know Troy personally, but I know people who do, and there's huge raps on the. He's just a lovely bloke, and he's basically there turned a negative into a positive. Now these horses are coming home coughing. He's probably not happy about it, things like that. But the thing he put out was, I think this should be information out there for the punters. Yeah. Because he'd have a lot of, but he knows a lot of punters. He's in the industry that, this should be aware of when horses are failing at the synthetic. They're probably getting stuff stuck down their throat, and it'd be nice to have them scoped immediately, and it's in the steward's report. Well,
we call this section here, what about the punters?
Yeah.
And there's Troy. He's our, number one man at the moment. Like, he's taken the attitude of saying what he would like is that if a horse has failed or a horse has had a form reversal, he wants to put the information out there to explain it. And often when there are form reversals and things that are hard to understand, all we want is a proper explanation and someone to look into it. And here's a trainer taking a proactive stance to provide really good information to punters. So, Troy, you're a champion.
Yeah, so last week we had Slim Holman. He was the hero of the week. And this week it's Troy Corstens because he's out there thinking about us. And then he's even taken a step further. I heard today that he's looking at some sort of mouth guard or mesh guard to put over there, over the end of the nose there to stop anything getting into the nostrils and into the mouth when they're galloping. So he's actually out there looking for solutions, and the industry should be more than encouraging someone thinking outside the square and trying to come up with solutions like that.
Yeah, and he's leading the charge on the track work hours too, and looking after the staff. I saw him, he was advertising for some more staff because he wants to change the hours around and have 2 shifts and things like that. It's good. You need people like that. He's good on him.
Well, that's what we're going to need to take the industry forward. And as you say, it relates back to what's been happening with the dogs. It's all about not only the human welfare but also the animal welfare.
Well, he was one of the first ones out to the Bruce Ackers joint, wasn't he?
He sent the truck straight out there. Yeah.
So again, he's just good on you, Troy.
So that was an interesting tidbit to come out of the week. Week ahead, boys. We're off to. You've definitely got the black shorts on tomorrow, DK. We've got Matawa.
Matawa.
Now,
5 maidens and 4 58s or something. Look out.
I've got an idea.
I hope
that-
they're on. I hope they're on.
I assume they will be because I know it's been raining up there, but those tracks, natural tracks, we know what we're getting.
Beautiful track up there.
And this is something that I've sort of had in the back of my mind. What I want a wonderful West, like we've got the Murray Valley Mondays where there's Echuca, which we've lost today, so we've got a day off.
They're good meeting. Oh, the Mildura ones, because these South Australian horses are coming over the border for the $20,000 maidens. They only race for 10 over there at Murray Bridge and all those joints. So they won the first 4 races. They won all the maidens, went to the South Australian horses the other day, and Impoon rode 2 of them.
And they bring Impoon over, that's all we
He said,
want.
I take horse to front,
Yeah.
there's young horse find rail, easy to steer, you know, they don't lay in, lay out. It helps horse.
It was what I did. I just reviewed
The
the.
post-race interviews were a classic there at Mildura last week.
I reviewed that meeting this morning, and there was one that went pretty good there. One by about 4 lengths. I just can't think of its name. So.
Was it Miss Willander or?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
got it
got
right.
good speed. Yeah,
So we've got the Murray Valley Mondays where it's Mildura, Swanell and Echuca.
that's good.
Why can't we have a wonderful Western series where every other Tuesday where you can use some of these tracks that aren't particularly used? I know some of them are used for training. So like I know there was a heap of trials at Mortlake this morning. There was a couple of set there at Sonata and whatnot, and I know that they regularly use Burrenbeek because a lot of horses work there. But there's tracks like Great Western's not racing till around Australia Day. Nil's not racing till Boxing Day. And it doesn't matter if they're a heavy track, like they're just natural tracks. And if they get played up, they've still got 6 months and the best time of year to get over them. It just might give them a few more turf options at this time of year because it does get a bit same when you're either on Geelong or Pakenham. And let's face it, we're getting to the stage now where we're real quick. If it looks like there's a heavy 10 or it might be bottomless, well, we better whip it straight across to Pakenham or Geelong as quickly as we can.
Well, today's a prime example of one, and we're happy we've got a day off. But but that meeting was called off, and they're trying to avoid that, of course, because that's what they're trying to avoid. So anyway.
There's no doubt about it, Juppy. You're an ideas man. I don't know how much merit those ideas have got, but you always got them. So.
Yeah, so I just there's some tracks there that aren't being used for a terrible amount. So I just think that there's an asset that the industry have that are just sitting there that we can use, and it'll just give us a few more turf option. And like I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know here that no one goes to these midweek meetings at this time of year. Like I have to go to some of them through work, and there's 8 men and a dog there. So you might as well run them up there, but at least give them a grass track option. Grass track to run on. So that was just a little idea that I had that could help them out.
I don't know what relevance it's got, but I can tell you now. I feel like we went through a really tough patch in the second half of April and May, and it just might be coincidence, but it corresponded with a lot of those night meetings.
Yeah.
And ever since all those night meetings have finished, we've got right back on top of things.
Yeah.
And we're really well placed.
I reckon it's spot on, Potts. I'm exactly the same.
I can tell you now, when they start again, I'll be reviewing them and maybe betting on 1 or 2 races, but I won't be doing.
Yeah, I'll be battening the hatches right down on those night meetings.
But this is the
other. It's too much, you know what I mean? Like you start cutting corners and it gets you into trouble. It's
Well, this is another thing. So there's a positive solution. Here's one thing that I'm as a participant, I'm not happy with. I understand Pakenham has lights. That doesn't mean that every time you have a meeting there, you have to turn them on. The fact that we're at this time of year having the last race on Fridays and whatnot, and there was the Sundays when the jumps were there. The last race was it was either 5:45 or 10:06. Why?
Where, Pakenham?
Yeah.
No, the Friday nights. Well, they're trying to get some pub and club money.
I
in
understand
from the people
that,
after
but
work.
it's just brutal on the participants that actually have to go there because trying to get back afterwards.
But it wouldn't matter if you're trying to get back at leaving there at 4:30 or 6:30, would it? Surely.
Oh,
It'd be just worse. I've got to go there next week. I'm dreading it.
Yeah, it's just.
If I leave there at 3:30 and trying to get over here to near Mountain Valley, it's just going to take me 2 hours.
It just seems to me that having that last race, the other thing that they're moving away from by doing that 2DK is the one thing that the industry nailed was when they said we're going to take ownership of the clock and have the half-hour gaps. 1 o'clock was always going to be the first race, which meant you knew that you were finishing at 4:30. That's when, especially at this time of year, when in an ideal world it should be finishing because it just seems like I understand they had jumps there which dragged that day out, but then there was another meeting there that started at 2:15.
Yeah, no, that's
I
why they're
understand
doing
it's for
it.
turnover,
All the blokes getting in the pubs at 4:30.
But it is harsh for the people that are actually working there because especially an hour on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I think your point's valid, Juppy, but I think my guess would be you're fighting the losing battle.
Turnover is
they
king.
are deliberately doing that
to try and boost the
to get
turnover.
that extra turnover, you know, as
Capture it.
Yeah, so
Boys, horses to follow. You got
Yeah.
coming winners for us?
yeah, I've looked at a few this morning and remember a few. That was it at Sale? Venuto, or it was
Yeah, Venuto,
Yeah.
yeah. So he came out of the rewarding effort race.
Yeah, so he went
Was
around
out
at
wide in that
Mornington,
race.
yeah, and then it
Knuckled
covered
down
it.
and
So I thought that was a nice maiden. Like, it's not a spectacular maiden win, but it's a nice one. He's probably capable of winning more races. And the horse that finished second to him there,
Carousel.
it's probably a coming maiden winner, I would think.
Yeah, she was on a home track there, but she's on going in the right path.
And a real obvious one, everyone would have seen it. But Wall Street Wolf, that was very heavily backed at Flemington. They took it to the synthetic last week, and it went really well. It's run very fast time.
But he was a rogue again.
Oh,
It took him 3 or 4 minutes to get in the barriers, and
I couldn't. I was sitting there. That was happening just before we started filming last week's show, and I thought I was sitting there watching Betfair on my phone. And I thought I cannot believe they're taking $1.16 about a horse where there's 6 blokes behind him trying to lift him into the gate.
yeah. No, that gets the one video comment for that horse group.
Yeah.
After you see a win like that in a maiden group horse.
Yeah,
So you
and
put
that's
on
what he
that.
did look like. Yeah, granted, I don't think he beat much, but he just blew him away.
My winning is a filly of one of first start of David Brito. It's called Nurse Kitchen. She's owned by Sarah Moody. She's out of she's by Savabille out of a Montu mare. It was a good Montu mare. Won over 2,000 in town. So she won a 1,300 on the synthetic. And the last part of the race was really, really strong. And I think it was just a bonus win. It was 10 to 1. It was just she won on ability.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be 2,000 metre horse, but who knows how far she can go. And the upcoming winner is a thing called Summer Wind. A thing of Aladdin and Zara.
Yeah.
So she ran on the bog on speed. First start in a race at Bendigo on the bog, and then she went back in the field at the synthetic last week behind that first start of Kieran Mars that went good. Tan-Tat, one of the Tan-Tat.
Yeah.
Tan-Tat Beauty.
Tan-Tat Beauty, which is heavily backed
Yeah.
on speed. Well, this is out the back and then chased it home hard up the straight, so she'll be third up into a race. So she's been on both surfaces. She's gone forward, gone back. So she'll be a coming winner.
So
Another horse I'll mention too, a horse that's been a real enigma for me. It sort of haunted me around over the last 6 months, but Darren Weir and his persistence has paid again. He's finally got Star Stealer going.
Yeah.
Flew. It absolutely gone like a rocket.
Flew.
Where was it? It was
Echuca.
It was Echuca, yeah. I looked at the figures and wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's capable of coming to town and doing something now.
So we got a bit sidetracked. So Matoa tomorrow, be a decent meeting up there. We're here at Moonee Valley on Wednesday for 9 races, so you can jump on and grab pots as said for that.
So the guys that subscribe to the Wednesday set, because there's so many, all these races have got emergencies, I won't really be able to finalise things till after scratching. So the set will probably come out about 10 or 10:30 on Wednesday.
And we go to Cranbourne on Thursday, Pakenham Friday, and then Caulfield, and the Echuca meetings is heading to next Saturday.
Saturday Provincial.
So there's plenty of there for us.
Sure is.
So
It's
keep
going to be a
your
good meeting though. There was big fields and a bit of quality up there. So the good trainers like going to Echuca for some reason.
It's just a decent track for them.
It's only 2 hours from 2.5 hours from Melbourne. And,
all right, punters. Well, that'll do us for this
Caulfield
week.
will be outstanding on Saturday too. It's got that terrific meeting from last Saturday feeding it. And the Caulfield track is just in magnificent order. So, all systems go for Caulfield on Saturday.
So grab Potts' plays, and you can grab Potts' full set. And
I should mention all that too, Juppy. So last week we got off to a good start with the Potts plays thing, but then we had a really nasty run Wednesday, Thursday and Friday where we get a couple of bad beats, and Murphy's Reward run down in the last stride by Spearhead, and we got beaten by that 16s in the 4 thing at
Baby
Pakenham.
and then the other one Pakenham,
The good part was we're finding horses at good prices that were running well, and then we turned things around on Saturday with Lord Von Costa, and yesterday with Benvenuto at $13 at Warrnambool, and last week we had good winning days at Sandown and Flemington. So things are rolling along nicely. We talked about this back in remember the months now, back in May when we were having a tough run. How to survive as a professional punter, it's fighting through the tough periods is one of the things that you have to get good at, and just have a really good process and stick to that, and only make minor alterations to that when things aren't running for you. And if you do that and you fight through, it sets you up really well for good long sustained periods of winning. So we've started that process. We've won 5 of the last 6 meetings, and we won 122 units. The meeting that we didn't win at was a very marginal day. So things are looking very good for July and August.
No worries. Well, we'll be back at some stage next week with the Melbourne Punter Show. So thanks, boys. We'll see you then. Good luck, punters.